I'm really hoping this lighting is okay. I'm just using the ring light today because it's really bright outside and I have the windows open, so like let me know if this lighting is okay, but like the ring light is on full blast and I'm like, it's blinding me. Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a tag video, and Lisa Stevens may or may not have tagged me in this, but I did get the idea from watching her video. And honestly, like, Lisa, if you're watching, she has tagged me in so many things, and like I've just been so far behind in actually filming those tags. So this is one that I thought was super duper interesting, and I'm like, that's really, really helpful to other people actually. So most tags are just like fun, silly tags, but this one is actually quite helpful. So this is the used and abused tag, and basically the idea behind it is sharing with you guys all of my products that are used and abused. So with makeup, of course, there's those products that you are going to buy over and over again because they run out really quickly or they expire really quickly. So things like mascaras and foundations and concealers, even eyebrow pencils and primers, I kind of categorize in the bucket of they're always going to be used and abused because you filter through them so quickly. But then there's those products where it takes a really, really long time to finish them, and I purchased so many of them that not all of them get used as much as I would like for them to get used. So for example, eyeshadow palettes. I just did a humongous declutter, which I will be sharing with you guys in a couple of months, and there's a specific reason why I'm waiting so long, which I'll catch you up later. But I did a big declutter, and I had like 60 eyeshadow palettes. Oh, my nose is running. One moment. So yeah, I had like 60 eyeshadow palettes, and the truth is, you're never gonna finish that many eyeshadows in your entire life. Like, it's not possible. Even if you did your makeup 5 times a day, like, there's no way you're gonna use that much eyeshadow ever. So there are certain palettes and certain products that you tend to gravitate towards more often. They're your favorites, and therefore they get used and abused. So that's what this video is going to be about. I have actually a lot more products than I thought I was going to have. When I was thinking about this, I was like, I don't have anything that I go to over and over and over again. I actually have a whole box of them. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so on the topic of eyeshadow palettes, let's start there. I have 4 of them in here that are totally used and abused, and 2 of these are palettes that I've actually thought about repurchasing, which is crazy. Like, who repurchases an eyeshadow palette? That blows my mind. At least I just have so much makeup that it's like, to repurchase an eyeshadow palette, like, it's insane. But we'll start with the Naked palette. So this is the original Naked palette, and I want to say this is the very first eyeshadow palette that I ever purchased. Of course, through high school I had eyeshadow palettes, but becoming big into makeup, this is the first eyeshadow palette I ever purchased, and it was right around, I think I was like 19 or 20 when this came out. But this is like the OG, like, it came with an eyeliner pencil, not a makeup brush. That's how original this palette is. And when you look at it, I have hit pan on 3 of these eyeshadows, and 2 of them are completely gone. So the color Sin is totally gone, the color Naked is totally gone, and the color Hustle I have hit pan on. I just really enjoy this palette, and a lot of them have a really big like divot dip in the pan as well. And to be honest, since I've gotten so many new palettes, I don't want to say I forgot about this palette, but I stopped using it, and I used it again today for the first time in probably 2 or 3 years, and I remember why I love it so much. It's just a great palette. In fact, this color Sin I have loved so much that I repurchased a single pan, finished that, and now I bought a second single pan of Sin that I haven't opened yet. But it's just full of really good neutral colors. I think they go well with lots of different skin tones. The packaging is really, really awesome, and definitely a used and abused product. The second one is the Lorac Pro Matte Palette. I got this at Fame Expo last year, or maybe 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, because last year I went with Brittany, the year before I went with Valerie. This is when I went with Valerie, so it's not a very old palette, and I have used up 3 of these colors completely gone. They're totally gone. I mean, Bare has a tiny bit of product left in there, but this palette is definitely used and abused. It is torn to shreds. You can see how dirty the palette itself is. This is one that I have seriously thought about repurchasing because I really, really like the colors. Pink Mauve is like the perfect crease color for me. Latte is another perfect crease color. Bear is like that perfect all over lid color to get your eyeshadow going. So I've seriously thought about repurchasing this, but I haven't. But I might. I just might. I feel like this video is going to be really long because I'm explaining quite a bit, but I feel like this is one of those videos where you have to kind of explain quite a bit, you know what I mean? So anyways, the third palette I have is the Too Faced Natural Matte Palette. This one is less abused, but it is definitely very well loved. There is dips in quite a bit of shadows, especially this color Risque. I've almost hit pan on it. I know it's kind of hard to see, but I've almost hit pan on it. This is one, Cashmere Bunny is pretty much almost hitting pan. This strapless color, oh, I love it, I love it. But this is like a remake of the original Too Faced Natural Eye Palette. They redid it and they made it all matte colors. And I feel like as I get older, I like the mattes better than the shimmers and the glitters. Not to say I don't love my shimmers and glitters, but I feel like mattes are just more wearable on an everyday basis, which is why, hi, Lorac Pro Matte Too Faced Natural Matte, definitely well-loved palettes. And the last eyeshadow palette I have is by Marc Jacobs. This is their Lolita palette, and it's kind of hard to see, but I have almost hit pan on this second to the last color right here. It's a shimmery kind of champagne-y. I use it as an all-over lid color, and it is just so pretty. And then this color right here, which is kind of like a crease color, or at least that's what I use it as, is just like a beige kind of crease color. I feel like this palette, it's quite expensive, but I totally see why. Ooh, I have actually hit pan. I can see pan poking through on this last color right here. You're not going to be able to tell because this ring light is too bright, but I can see a teeny bit of pan poking through. I use that as like an outer V color, but what was I saying? This palette is quite pricey, but I see why. All of the Marc Jacobs beauty products are very expensive, but they're very, very high quality. And these eyeshadows are very, very high quality. They blend together very well. They're very effortless. And I feel like when I don't quite know what to do with my eyes and I don't know what palette to use, I'll just grab this one because it's very all-inclusive. You have your matte highlight, you have your crease color, you have your all-over lid colors, you have like a deepening color, you just have everything you would ever need. I want to say this might be the palette I use for my wedding makeup, but I'm not entirely sure, but it's definitely used and abused. Let's move on to blushes. I have 3 of them. Oh, you know what? I do have one more eyeshadow product, so let's talk about that really quickly. This is a liquid shadow, and I have a lot of these. This is the Urban Decay Liquid Moon Dust in the color Chemtrail. I have a lot of these, and this is the one that I feel like I go back to and I use over and over and over again. I actually used it today on top of the Naked palette. I use this as my all-over lid color. And this is definitely used and abused. If you look at the tip, it is just like so goopy and so disgusting. But I feel like liquid eyeshadows kind of get that way anyways. As long as you actually use them, they get that way. So this is definitely a used and abused product. It's one of those things where I will probably repurchase it once it either dries out or finishes up because I do really like it. Okay, now on to blushes. I have 3 of them here, and one of them I used to talk about on my channel all the time. And then I kind of put it away and I started to use other blushes. I have a hair on me or something and it is driving me crazy. I kind of put it away and stopped talking about it because I've been trying to love other blushes. And this is the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush in the color Exposed. This is actually my second pan of this. I completely used up an entire pan of blush. And I have a lot of blush. I mean, I have like 50 to 60 different blushes. So for me to use up an entire blush, like, that says a lot. And now this is my second pan and it is still used and abused because I feel like it's just that perfect go-to blush color. Like if you're wearing a really heavy lip or a really heavy eye and you don't want to go overboard on your cheeks, this is just kind of that go-to, like, slightly mauve beige nude cheek color, and it doesn't interfere with any other colors. I feel like it blends out beautifully and it just looks so stinking pretty. You can also layer it with other blushes. It is well loved, that's for sure. I'm not wearing it today because I'm actually wearing this one on my cheeks today. This is a Clinique Cheek Pop in the color Heather Pop. This is another one, I mean, you can see this is supposed to be like a flower design on there, and the flower design is totally gone. You can't even see that there was a little flower on here. But this is another one where I forced myself to put it away so I could use other blushes because I was just constantly wearing this blush. This is, did I already say it's in the color Heather Pop? I feel like this is kind of in the same family as Exposed, where it's just that beautiful, kind of like mid-toned, like nudish, slightly mauve color. And it just looks so pretty all seasons with all eye looks, all lip looks. And this one has a teensy tiny bit of a little bit of like a sheen to it. Exposed is totally matte. This one has a bit of a sheen to it, but both of those are well loved. And the last cheek product or blush product I have is the Marc Jacobs Air Blush in the color Flesh and Fantasy. I got this in November, so I haven't had it for very long. I actually bought this in San Francisco when I went with Melissa for Gen Beauty. I bought this during the Sephora sale, and I have used and abused this thing to death. As you can see, I was just dusting off powder because it is so disgusting. It is so dirty. I think part of that has to do with it's kind of a powdery blush, but it's super, super soft and it blends on your cheeks so pretty. And this is the more like nude-ish. As you can tell, I really love nude blushes. I just think that I really like the way they look on my cheeks and my skin tone. But this is one where it has like a mixture of kind of like a champagne, like incandescent, like very, very light highlights, and then you have your matte nude blush. And when you run your brush over it and you mix it together and you brush it on your cheeks, it just gives the most beautiful glow. It is so stinking pretty. It reminds me a lot of the Hourglass blushes, which those are used and abused as well. I don't know why I didn't think to pull these out too, because these are super used and abused as well. Mood Exposure is another kind of nude blush, surprise, surprise. This one's more like a plummy nude. Definitely used and abused. And then is it Diffused Heat? No, there's like a peachy one that I have, Dim Infusion. Oh yeah, this one is totally used and abused. This is more of like a peachy, I mean, you can't even really tell. Maybe I can turn this down a little bit. There we go. You can see the color a little bit better on this when I turn it down. But it's like a peachy blush with a swirl of like that iridescent, like very, very incandescent, I don't want to say shimmery, but like it's ambient light, basically like swirled in there. And when you just, oh, I think they're so pretty. So had to throw those in there too. Those are definitely used and abused as well. Okay, on the topic of cheeks, I have one highlighter that I always go back to it. It is totally used and abused, and that is the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector pressed in the color Moonstone. This is the powder version of this. Becca has liquid versions and cream poured versions, and they have their powder versions of all their highlighters. This I have actually hit pan on. I'm gonna turn this down again so you can see. I have hit pan on a highlighter, you guys, a highlighter. You only need the teeniest, littlest bit of this product. I used it today on my cheeks. You only need the teeniest, tiniest bit of this product to get the job done, and it's just so stinking pretty. I'm gonna swatch it for you on my arm, but again, I am wearing it on my cheeks today so you can see what it looks like on. If you're somebody who's like a fair-skinned person and you're looking for that perfect, like, cream colored highlight that blends beautifully, that is very, very intense, this is such a good one, you guys. This is another one where I've thought about repurchasing because I'm gonna finish it eventually. Like, it's almost gone, but I have so many other highlighters, you know? Anyway, okay, last cheek product is actually a bronzer, and if you are a fan of my channel and you've been around for a while, you know that the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil is like my holy grail bronzer, but I actually finished up, I mean, I've gone through tons of those, but I finished up my last pan of that, and I haven't repurchased it because I wanted to finish up some other bronzers that I have in my collection. I just don't want them to go to waste, you know? So this is the one that I have been using instead, and this is the Benefit Hoola bronzer. This is the original Hoola. I did try the Hoola Light, and I did not like the Hoola Light. It was just way too light for me. So this is the original Hoola, and as you can see, there's just a teeny bit left around the edge. The rest of it is pan, and that's like stained pan. It's very strange, but There's just a teensy bit left around the pan. It is definitely a use and abuse product. This is another thing that I'm wearing on my cheeks today. It's a matte bronzer, so it's very good at like contouring as well as bronzing, and it's in the running for favorites. I think I have to try my Milk Chocolate Soleil again just to see, but it's like, okay, it's in the running of being one of my favorites, that's for sure. I have a couple more powders to talk to you guys about. Both of these are Laura Mercier. The first one I discovered a long time ago, and this is my third like little tub of this. This is the Secret Brightening Powder, and what I utilize this for is to highlight and set my under eye concealer. So my under eyes, back in the day before I got really into makeup, I never wore under eye concealer because it would always crease on me, and I didn't understand why it would crease on me. Like, I don't have wrinkles, or I didn't have wrinkles back then. I do now. But you know, when I was a teenager, like, I didn't have wrinkles. I didn't understand why my under eye concealer was creasing. So I didn't want to fuss with it. I just stopped wearing it. And now I look back and I'm like, oh my God. I should have just set it with powder, but I didn't know that's what you were supposed to do. So I use this to set my under eye concealer, but because it has a teensy bit of reflective elements to it, it does slightly highlight your under eyes as well. So I use the Tarte Shape Tape today, and then I set it with this powder here. You only need the tiniest, littlest bit of this, like really just enough to like slightly coat your brush, and I tap it on, and it is a great under eye setter. This is definitely use and abuse. There's just a teeny tiny bit left in the bottom. I have other brightening type products that I want to use before I repurchase that, but that's definitely used and abused. And then the second one is the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. This is like a hyped up product here on YouTube. I purchased this at, it was either Fame Expo or IMATS or one of those beauty conventions, because the person I was with, I don't remember if it was Valerie or if it was Brittany or who, I don't remember who it was I was with, but they were like, you gotta try it, it's such a great thing. I was like, okay. It really is. It is very messy, and I think mine's messy because it's actually chipped, if you can tell. It's broken. See, the container is broken right there. So the product is spilling out of it, but definitely a use and abuse product. It's getting everywhere. It's really, really great to set your whole face with, but it's also good to bake with if you are a face baker. I think what I like about it most is it has like a teeny bit of a like beige tint to it. So as opposed to being like a stark white powder, like the RCMA powder is white, and the Secret Brightening Powder is white, whereas the translucent powder is almost like a beige color, so it doesn't leave like that cast of white, which I like in certain places, but not all over my face. You know what I mean? Let's talk for a minute about eyeliner. Now, eyeliner I kind of categorize in the you filter through it so much that of course you're gonna use and abuse it. But this is one that I have to talk about. I like to talk about this whenever I can because I feel like not enough people talk about this brand, and it really is a really good brand. This is a brand new one. Like I haven't even used it, so it's technically not used and abused because I haven't used this particular one before. This is the Ardency In Modster eyeliner, specifically the one in the color Coffee, which is the matte brown that I'm holding right here. This is my it's definitely my fourth, maybe even my fifth pencil of this, because it is just the best brown eyeliner like ever. I even bought one for my mom because she likes brown eyeliner, and she was like, that was a really good eyeliner. What was it? I've never heard of it before. Ardency In used to be sold at Sephora. I don't know if it's still sold at Sephora. I want to say I bought this off of Sephora.com, but it's just a really, really good product, and when I do use it, I abuse the crap out of it. Like I sharpen it all the way down to the little bitty butt and I use it so much. Right now I'm using the Marc Jacobs matte highliner, which is good, but not as good as that one. I feel like primers are also one of those products that I categorize in the like consumable, you use it super quick category. But this is one worth mentioning because every time I have one of these, I use and abuse the crap out of it. This one is totally used and abused. In fact, I use it so much, I pop the stopper out of it. Like when it gets to the point where there's not a whole lot, I pop the stopper out of it and I scrape it, and I use every little last drop of this particular product, which is probably really disgusting and really unsanitary because it is a liquid product, but I don't care. This is the NARS Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. This is just the best eyeshadow base ever, you guys. Like, it's clear. You don't have to wait for it to dry, so it dries almost immediately, and it really does prevent your eyeshadows from creasing. If you're somebody who has like oily eyelids, or your eyeshadow's constantly creasing and you don't know how to fix it, try an eyeshadow base first of all, but this one particularly is really, really good. It's also good for multiple skin tones because it is clear, so you don't have to worry about like it looking odd or turning your eyeshadow's colors because it's oxidizing because of a weird eyeshadow primer. It's just really a really good one. Okay, another product that I use and abuse and have repurchased over and over again is eyelash glue. This is kind of a weird one, but it's definitely worth mentioning. This is the Ardell Lash Grip, the white one. So I've tried the black one, and my idea behind trying the black one was, well, if it's black, then I won't have to wear eyeliner because it will basically create a line. So I'm wearing falsies today, and after I apply falsies, I get a black liquid liner and I line the band. You know what I'm trying to say. I line the band to kind of conceal it. Also, with the white, what am I trying to say? The white glue is supposed to dry clear, but sometimes it can look a little bit chunky. So what I'm trying to say is I line my lashes with black liquid liner. So my thought behind buying the black one was I won't have to do that. I don't like the black one at all. It's like not even black, it's kind of like a grayish color, so it looks a little bit odd. And then if you accidentally get any on your eyelid, it totally ruins your eye look, and it doesn't dry clear, it dries black. So definitely the white one, and like I said, it does dry clear, but you can still see it a little bit. But what I like about this glue is I feel like it actually lasts a really long time. I've tried a lot of glue. I've tried the House of Lashes glue. I tried some off-brand glue that I got at Fame Expo. I've tried a brush-on version of the, I don't know. I've tried a lot of glue, and this is the one that I use and abuse to death. It's probably time for a new one, actually. Okay, let's talk about lipsticks, guys, because lipsticks are another product where, I don't know if you can tell, I don't think you can see, but I have a lipstick tower on top of this beauty box right here that is totally full, and then on top of it I have a drawer full of lipsticks. And when I just did my declutter, I got rid of probably 40 lipsticks, you guys. I'm not kidding, more than that probably. I got rid of so much, but as I was getting rid of them, I looked to see, okay, which ones do I use a lot? And these are the 5 that I feel like I constantly go back to. So let's talk about the one that I'm wearing today, which is MAC's Lovelorn. MAC's Luster Finish is very, very hydrating. It's very, very creamy. It's not quite as pigmented as some of their other finishes, but I feel like I tend to gravitate towards luster finishes more because they're just more wearable. They're easier to wear. You can kind of apply them without a mirror. You don't have to fuss with them. You don't need a lip liner, so on and so forth. But Lovelorn specifically is just this really pretty, like pink, baby pink color. And I feel like it's very wearable for my skin tone because I'm a cool toned person, therefore cool toned lipsticks look best on me. So I feel like it's very wearable. And as you can tell, it is very used and abused. It has a very big dent in it, and it's gone in my purse. It's melted a couple of times. It's just one of my most loved lipsticks. And then the second one I wear most frequently is Peach Blossom. So Peach Blossom is a cream sheen finish, which is a bit more creamier and a bit more pigmented than luster finishes. Luster finishes, I feel like, have, yeah, they're just more kind of glossy, whereas cream sheens are a little bit more creamy and a little bit more pigmented, but they have the same kind of concept, I feel like. So Peach Blossom is more of like a peachy nude color, which is less pigmented, as you can tell, but it's kind of more wearable with more looks, like more makeup looks, because it is more of a nude color. So this is one that I'm thinking about wearing for my wedding day. I might buy a new tube of it though because this one's kind of old. Okay, I have 2 more MAC lipsticks that are totally used and abused. So I have Bombshell, which is a frost finish, and then Hot Gossip, which is also a cream sheen. So frost finishes are like super, super light coverage. They're very frosty. They're almost like a balm, like a sheer balmy texture. Bombshell, this is the second tube of Bombshell that I bought. So I threw it in here, although it doesn't look like it's used and abused. It's definitely used and abused. So this is one that is more of a pinky color, but it has like a kind of like a golden sheen to it. I feel like it's just perfect for summertime. I think I'm gonna wear it right now, actually. Why not? We'll layer it up. So definitely a good one. And then Hot Gossip is the other one that's used and abused. You can tell there's quite a big dent in that. This one is a little bit darker than the others. It's more of like a kind of like mauvey, yeah, it's definitely more of like a mauve color, but this one, cream sheen finish, so it's more creamy. So you can tell the mattes, the satins, they're just not wearable for me. Like I love them and they look pretty, but as far as like on a daily basis, I don't know. I like liquid lipsticks. They're so pretty, but anyways, so totally contradicting what I just said. The 5th lipstick I have is a matte lipstick and it's by Kat Von D. Although I will say the Kat Von D lipsticks, they're matte, but they're a very wearable, soft, like comfort matte. They're not like drying, like they don't suck the life out of your lips. This one is in the color Lovecraft, and I mean, it's almost gone. It is very, very well loved, very, very used and abused. This one is definitely the darkest of the bunch, as you can tell, but this one is kind of like that deeper, it's not My Lips But Better, but it's kind of My Lips But Better. I get compliments on this all the time. When I wear this in videos, people are always asking me what it is, so definitely worth mentioning. Okay, last but not least, I decided to throw in some brushes to this video because I have a million brushes, as you can tell. That was another one of the categories that I decluttered was my brushes. But these are the 3 brushes that I feel like just go with me everywhere. So I'm going to start with this big one. This one, I hate talking about it because it's not available for purchase anymore, which is so super sad, but I wanted to be honest and true with you guys and tell you that it's very used and abused, so that if you have it, definitely like bust it out and try it again. And occasionally it pops up on the Sephora website at like a super discounted price. So this is the Sephora Pro All Over Brush number 61. And this is just like the best brush to use to set your face. So like if you're setting your liquid foundation with a powder, or if you're wearing a powder foundation, it's just so big and so dense, but it's not rough and it's not like harsh or scratchy. It's still very, very soft. The Sephora Pro brushes are very luxurious. There's very high quality. It's just such a good brush. It's very, very dense, and like you can really, really pack on the pigment if you're applying a powder foundation, or you can lightly dust over it if you're applying a setting powder. This is the second one I bought because the first one I bought, I had washed my brushes like at nighttime, and then the next morning I went to use it and it was still wet because it's so dense. It takes a couple of days to dry sometimes. So I got my hair dryer thinking like I'm gonna be inventive and get my hair dryer. I burned the hairs and it melted. So that tells you it's synthetic hair. So I had to buy another one. And then when I saw that they were discontinuing this brush, I bought a third one, like just in case. So I have it down there in case I burn this one or whatever, but definitely used and abused. And then I have another Sephora Pro brush. This is the Smudge Brush number 11. So smudge brushes, I use them less and less now, but it's definitely a used and abused product. So I use this to smudge out my pencil liner. Not so much on the bottom anymore. I used to smudge my bottom liner a lot, but to smudge my top liner. So you know how sometimes when you put your pencil liner on, it doesn't look, like it kind of looks, what am I trying to say? Like the color just needs to be blended a little bit, or if it like skips because you have wrinkly eyelids, or whatever the case, if it looks a little bit off or if your line isn't perfect, you can smudge it out to kind of even out your eyeliner line or to smoke out your eyeliner. I mean, there's so many different things you can do with a smudge brush. My original smudge brush I bought, it's also Sephora, but it is the like lower end version. It's right here. So this is just the Sephora smudge brush. So I had bought this one and then I kind of wanted a backup, like just in case, because that's how my mind works. So I bought the Pro one, but both of these are really good. And then the last brush I wanted to talk to you guys about is a newer purchase, but since I bought it, I haven't been able to put it down. It's definitely used and abused. Like, I kind of want to buy a second one, like, again, just in case something happens to it. But this is the Smith 232 brush. I bought this at Fame Expo also. And I want to say it was last year. So it's not a very old brush, but I use it so much that I have to wash it pretty much every week because there's tons of different colors in it. And what I like about it the most is it's a blender brush. It's a fluffy blender brush, but it comes to like a domed point at the top. So because of that, you can really dig it into your crease and really, really buff out your crease really well. And you can also do your lower lash line with it because it comes to that kind of domed point at the tip. So it's just really greatly shaped, and I love the fact that it's white bristles because then you can tell if it's dirty. Sometimes with the darker bristles, I mean, you know it's dirty, but psychologically you're like, well, the bristles aren't dirty, so the brush isn't dirty, which is kind of gross, you know what I mean? So anyways, those are all the products that are used and abused for me. I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting, but let's face it, this video is long enough. So let me know what products you guys use and abuse and constantly reach for, even though you have a million other versions of the same thing. The ones that you constantly reach for, let me know so that I can check them out. And definitely check out Lisa Stevens' version of this if you haven't already. I will link her use and abuse tag down below. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.